Hey y'all, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad we can hang out again today. Some of you may know that my co-author and I just recently published the fourth and final book in our pirate fantasy series, the Pirate Hunter Chronicles. And so today I wanted to share some of the lessons I've learned throughout the publishing process and some of the things I've learned through publishing this series. Some of this may have specifics to fantasy, but also in publishing a series in general. So yeah, let's get into it. My 5 lessons that I've learned through publishing the Pirate Hunter Chronicles. Number 1 is it takes a lot of grit. The publishing of this series took a lot of work. It took a lot of dedication, a lot of sacrifice. There were things that we had to give up in order to make sure we had enough time to work on the series and make sure we dedicated the proper amount of time and energy to do the best job that we possibly could. It takes a little bit of grit, a lot of grit, to write and publish a 4-book series or a series of any length. And that was one of the things that I learned, was how much work it takes to publish a series and how much sacrifice and how much dedication it takes. It's not some piddly little thing, not that any publishing really is, but there's a specific kind of dedication that publishing a full series takes. And tie into that, number 2, the second lesson I learned was keeping all the details straight was very difficult. This happens with any book, any series, but specifically fantasy. You know, there's a lot of details to keep straight. You have your magic system, you have your characters, you have various different other things that you have to make sure you keep straight. And it can get a little bit tricky, even with 2 people, 2 brains, keeping all that stuff together. You forget a lot by the time you get to book 4, and so we had to be very careful with what we did and to make sure that we stayed true to the magic system and the world that we built up at the beginning and tried to keep that consistent. I'm sure some of the details slip through the cracks, and you know, that's just part of publishing. There's gonna be mistakes, and but we did our best to make sure we kept all of them straight as much as possible. And I think we did a good job, but it was very difficult, and that was something I learned, was just how tough it is to keep all of those details straight, even with the best of technology. I mean, we use Google Docs, all that stuff, but it was still a challenge. Number 3, and again, this is kind of goes into the previous one. Number 3 is maybe not the best idea to read reviews while you're still working on publishing the series. And the reason for this is pretty simple. You don't really want reviews to influence your inspiration for the series and your goal and your vision for the series. Not every book is for every reader, and that's okay, but sometimes it's very easy to take in the input from your readers and try to be like, well, should I fix that? Should I change that to make, maybe we went too far, blah, 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 blah. And it can really dilute what you're trying to accomplish through your book. And so it's very important, in my opinion, or at least in my experience, I found that reading reviews prior to finishing the series was probably not in my best interest, because it could have negatively impacted my creativity, my co-author and I's ability to generate ideas and all that stuff. And it also helped keep us encouraged, since we weren't worrying about how people would receive it. We were just like, okay, great, people are reviewing the book, which we want. We want people to review our books. But reviews aren't really for the authors. They're for the readers to find the books that are perfect for them. And so I think a lot of authors can get confused on that. We don't need to read the reviews. We ask for them. We enjoy people when they review, even if it's not a positive one. It helps us better reach our audience, because readers like you are telling other readers, hey, this book may or may not be for you, and you help bring more readers to us that will actually enjoy our books. Because we do our best, but readers are our best way of getting other new readers who will enjoy our books. And the way you do that is through your reviews, by saying, this is what I enjoyed, this is what I didn't enjoy. And then the reader who reads your review can then decide, hey, I like that type of thing, or no, that thing's not for me. And then they can make a decision informed off of your review on whether or not to read our books. They're not for me as an author. And it's important to remember that, because again, it can be very easy to get discouraged or bogged down. So yeah, I found it easier not to read the reviews prior to finishing the series because I didn't want it to influence my creativity in a negative way. Number 4 is a little bit different from the previous ones, and this is it was a bit tougher to find beta readers as we went along through the series, and there was a couple of reasons for this. One was we had a very quick turnaround, so it didn't fit in everybody's schedule, which is totally understandable, and we really do appreciate the beta readers who were able to fit that into their schedule and really work with us and do a great job. I know it was tough and that we had very big demands. We really appreciate them. But yeah, it was, as you go along, you have fewer and fewer people who have read the first couple books, and so by the time you get to book 4, you might not have as many readers who have already read the previous books and would understand how the book 4 works. And so they won't have as much foundational knowledge about the book and the world and all that. And so you have a smaller pool of readers to choose from as far as beta reading goes, which is okay. You don't need a ton of beta readers, and but it is a consideration, a lesson we learned, that you will have fewer readers as you go down through your series, and that's just normal. That's okay, but it is something to take into consideration when planning your series, is to know, hey, you might have 7 at the first book, but by the time you get to the 4th or whatever, you may only have 2 or 3, and that's okay. Just plan ahead and make sure you are prepared for that. And the last lesson that I learned is possibly one of my favorites, and that is the end isn't always the end. And what I mean by that is, yes, the series is complete, it is out, it is, done, it is set, but it is not necessarily the end. We can do spin-offs, if we choose, we can do a continuation, or we can do other stories in the same world or with the same characters, and that is really great to know, because we have spent so long building this world and these characters, and to know that we can still go back and write more stories if we choose, if the audience really enjoys them and wants more from them, we are able to go do that. And that's really reassuring, because it is bittersweet writing the end on your series and saying this is done, because you know that you did a satisfying job, that the ending is rich and finished and the best you could possibly make it. But at the same time, it's really sad to know, or to think, that you may never go back to those stories. So the knowledge that we can, if we choose, is really reassuring, because I can put this on the shelf and say, this set is done. But if I feel a call to write more in this world, I can, and that is really reassuring, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, those are 5 lessons that I learned through publishing this series, and if you want to read them, I will leave the links to purchase down below. If you follow the Aura of the Pen links, those will take you to places where you can purchase the books. And if you would like to stay updated on anything else that is coming out from me, be sure to sign up for my newsletter and follow me on my other social medias. I will also leave this link down below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I hope we can hang out again sometime soon, but until then, I hope you have a very blessed day. Bye!